another episode of The Man Space. Marcin and I are deeply moved and touched by the gentlemen who show up week after week to have very meaningful and deeply moving conversations. We live in a world where men are expected to be the leaders, be the providers, have all the answers. But have we given them the tools to be that? And have we always taken into consideration they too are human? That means they are beings who feel, who happen to think and work. Humans are feeling beings, right? So how are we raising our sons so that they grow up to be men who can manage effectively their emotions and bring that emotional intelligence to what they do, especially at a time when society and the healthcare world and everything is in flux. And men as CEOs and entrepreneurs and leaders have to juggle not just their personal family and their responsibilities, but the families of all their workers and the pressures that come with it, because whether we realize it or not, that is a real burden. So to have this important conversation with us at this cusp of time where the world is changing is a very interesting gentleman that Marcin is going to introduce.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Cass, for this wonderful introduction. Welcome, Joe. I would love to introduce my very good friend of mine is Joe Kolar. Joe and I, we have met in 2021 in one of the programs that him and I, we have been part of a program that we have worked with one of the coaches. And I would not be here today where I'm in my life if I've not have gone through the coaching program. And Joe and I, we have kept throughout the whole years communication with each other together. We follow one another. So thank you, Joe, for your time, for being here today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Marcin. Thank you, Dr. Cass.
So, Joe, as we get started, talk to us about what has been your biggest challenge in the last year to 2 years, where the entire world has been in flux and nothing has been what humanity is used to.
A recent challenge that the whole world struggled with was the COVID times or the Corona times. No one was prepared. No one knew what is happening, how to deal with. I was holding position of chairman of the board for a company that I co-created with my business partner. Unfortunately, as many countries, our country got shut down, so we couldn't meet with people. I'm salesman for the last 19 years since I was working for a Canadian American company that we discussed before for combined insurance. I love sales. I love people. But when you can't meet with them face to face and you have no idea about the online world that I am fairly familiar with after 3 years now, you don't know what to do. You don't know where to turn. You don't know where to ask for help because everyone is struggling with the same thing. No one has experienced that before. This is where not only came in handy, but it was vital to be in the space of self-development. That I'm studying self-development for the last 10 or 15 years, right? But I got the opportunity to dive in more deeply, to seek deeper foundations to support not only me, but people that worked for my company, to be as pillar for them in those times. It would be similar to when you are support for your son or daughter in the family. You have to find a way to show them the way, right? So looking for the new ways that haven't been discovered, that was pretty exciting challenge. Now with distance of 3 years, I can say exciting, but it wasn't that exciting when it happened.
Thank you, Joe, for that. And you know what? It's as being a chairman of the board and 19 years in sales with the COVID, with Corona, everything that has happened, you have dealt with many of your employees in person. But now, since your country has been shut down, how or what did you do to transition from being in person to communication to your team via everything had to be online? How did that process look like for you?
We were trying our best at the beginning to cope with it. As the information were unclear, we didn't know for how long we are going to be shut down, right? So we, as a company, were supporting people for so long as far as we could. But then some of them, out of fear, decided to let go of the positions because, sales isn't the easiest job in the world. And you can't keep employed people for a year or two without knowing what's happening. And unfortunately, in my case, we lost the company because of not having the ability to do the business the old traditional way that it has been done for century. And we didn't have skills, knowledge, and abilities to go online with the products that we were selling. It was not possible at the time. It did require human contact, human touch, human signing of a contract.
And I bet that was heartbreaking because you built the company, it was your baby, right?
Yeah.
To see what you built be decimated by something you had no control over, people you have brought in and groomed and built the business with, having to let them go. How did you deal with all of those emotions? Because not just that, you would have had family situations to deal with, financial provisioning situations to deal with the family. What was that like and what could have helped you?
It was tough because not every person has been so, I say, lucky to choose self-development in their life. The awareness of people is different. It varies from one person to another. So ever since when I was a child, I was taught, and especially I was trained in that company that I mentioned before. Every single time you go to a client, a person, or your employee or coworker, imagine that someone is going to your mother with the same intention as you are going to. Now think how you are going to act, behave, or deal with the situation, right? So you have to think twice, three times before you make a decision, because before you do something that will have long-lasting effect. I dived deep into my own skills, but I started to even more develop them because uh, I faced a situation that I haven't heard of ever. So I had to find out how to get out of it. That's when I dive deeper into emotional intelligence, into emotional maturity. What are the differences? I bought and studied courses and personal development programs on how to communicate with people, how to become but not only better communicator, but better salesperson in the online world, and etc., 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 just to find out the way how to support them. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save the company, but I believe that in every hard situation, there's opportunity that is lying ahead in the future. And we are using every single experience that we collect on the way.
Thank you for that, Joe. And as I'm listening to what you have and what you were able to overcome, with having so many employees and coworkers that you had to go and share the news with them that, hey, because of so and so, the company will no longer be able to function. And so as a chairman, board member of that company, what was going through your mind that you had to go and speak with every single individual of that person? How did that feel? How did you prepare yourself for that, to share the bad news with them?
You can have knowledge and skills, Marcin, in the theoretical world, but when you're facing emotions of a people and you know that they have to pay the bills, they have to feed their family, that it's going to have a ball rolling effect on them, you can't prepare for everything, but you still have a structure. You can do only your best in explaining and telling the truth it is what it is, and we have to, each and every single one of us, put effort to come out of it as good as possible. Just be honest. Be honest. You can only do so much. You can only do your best. You cannot pour from empty cup, right? For so long as it was possible, I was there as emotional and material support. But if there is no water coming into jug, you can't pour from an empty jug, right? So at the end of the day, there was an understanding, and every single one of us went our separate ways. Yes, it was heartbreaking to see collapse of the company that I didn't cause, the employees didn't cause. It was by third outside force that no one could have predicted. But we can't be stuck in the past. We have to look forward, right? So we have to see what is possible. We have to see how we can develop our emotional ability and maturity to deal with the situations, and then look forward. Where to now? As you know, our coaches, our mentors, Marcel, we either grow or we die mentally and emotionally. So you have to look forward.
And that is so true, Joe. Ultimately, your ability to contain the feeling and reality and then see the optimistic possibilities in every crisis, there is opportunity. And how have you navigated forward? And what did you learn about yourself in the process?
I have learned through courses that I have studied dissociation in few different ways. To not only take one step, I took 3 steps back when I was observing situation. And as I have been through some in my life already, I lost one company 15 years ago as well through different reasons. I knew I'm going to pull through, but this time, even though it was way worse, there was a big positive change compared to the first time. I had knowledge and experience that I didn't have then. And I knew that when I pulled through then, now it has to be way more different because of the knowledge and experience that I got. Once you acquire those along the journey, they are remaining with you as prepared blocks or bricks for another foundation that you're going to lay in your future project. And to answer the question, what I learned from what is the biggest lesson that I learned, it doesn't matter what happened, I will stand up again. Not only because I've done it before, but have I been able to survive the situation? And during that period of COVID time, I had near-death experience as well. I can pull through anything. As people that believe in God say, if He wakes you up and you open your eyes, anything is possible. The only thing is to decide and point your direction.
No, that is so beautiful, Joe, that you have said as I'm following and paying attention is how you went from one company to another, the knowledge and the experience that you have developed, the growth that has helped you, right, to overcome the situation that you were in, even though, yeah, it was outside forces that was outside of your control, to deal with that situation and dealing with all of your employees. But also I'm hearing too what has helped you to, would you say, there are many business owners, entrepreneurs that are in charge of big Fortune 500 companies. And would you say that with self-development, with that knowledge and experience, where does that come from as we go through that journey?
Where does self-development come from?
Yes.
One example popped into my head that is known to the whole world. Walt Disney have declared bankruptcy eight times before he got successful. Everyone thought he was crazy. Everyone thought that he was off his game. Once your vision is crystal clear, no one can stop you. No one. I know that it's a different when you have 10 employees, 100 employees, and then you're talking about Fortune 500. But the technique is the same. You still have to dissociate. You still have to detach your emotions of the situation because they're gonna eat you and destroy you. You can't think with a messy mind. This beautifully aligns and realigns with raising children. Let's imagine your son or your daughter is running down the stairs and he or she falls. In most cases, our autoresponder is we are screaming, "Oh, he fell!" or "Don't run, you're gonna fall!" Or we start shouting and screaming on the child, "Oh, what have you done?" But the very opposite is what that children needs. It needs a pillar that is solid, stable, and calm, because he's looking to be calmed down, to be in a safe space and safe environment. So your mental ability and stability is the most important to save, protect, and re-raise any company you're running. If you're not going to be okay as a driving force of the company, no one is going to be.
Brilliantly said, Joe. That is, I love how you connected the leadership in a business to leadership in the family, right? Because ultimately, people who are working for you, you're responsible for them. It's another version, iteration of parenting and raising people to come into their own so that the business has business continuity, just like the family does. Now, let's shift from work to family. Being a serial entrepreneur, being the chairman of the board, having such huge responsibilities in challenging external environments doesn't give you much time and freedom to fully be present at home. Regardless of gender, this is an issue, right? So having the right life partner and knowing that, hey, today I'm only 60% when I come home. Do you have more than 40% so that together we're over 100% to make sure we're here for our kids, for our family? How do you navigate that, or what have been some of the challenges in navigating that?
This time is vital. My marriage didn't last that, but it is vital to understand each other and to know that no person is coming home from, let's say, a business person coming home to home environment is going to be 100% fully charged with the energy because he's coming exhausted. Neither the other partner having to take care of the households, the family, the kids is not going to be 100%. This is, again, emotional intelligence combined with maturity, not only to know and recognize the emotions of another one, um, to see a little bit into future that something might have happened in the work that doesn't have to do anything with me. Something might have happened at home. That's the reason for the mood that the other person is having. Let's just have an understanding and let's just look at each other with the glasses of support, not of judging. This is very vital, and it takes really mature people to form a relationship like that. I strongly believe on self-development on some level. It doesn't matter whether if it's only reading books or watching the YouTube videos, right up to coaches or mentors. The same way as we update softwares on our phones and computers, we should update our software up in here to be able to cope with any situation.
No, that is very well said, and it is so necessary, right, to update our software. But many times we run, our operating system runs on the software that is not updated, right, where we don't have each other's back. Where I come from work, have a very stressful day. My goals haven't been met because of some circumstances. Now you come to home where your wife, she had a bad day as well, right? And sometimes it's either my way or the highway. As a business owner, entrepreneur, how do you deal with that situation?
You prepare yourself. You don't prepare yourself for that. You go through mistakes which you learn on, right? That's how people usually discover self-development, because of some big breakpoint that has happened in their life, whether in business or relationship, and they're looking to improve their mental health to be able to cope with the future situation like that. And as well, that is the reason why I mentioned that both partners, equally in business or at home, should develop somehow their mind to realize that it's not the end of the world if someone is not feeling 100% happy, smiley when he or she comes home from work or with kids. Or the both are equally important. To see and recognize that, to see and realize the language that the other person is speaking. And I don't mean English, Spanish, or French, right? But the love language, the emotional language, the support language. Unfortunately, until something big happens, we run on subconscious programs that have been installed through our childhood and society and school, etc., etc. We have to discover somehow that is not working anymore for us. And how do we do that? The same way you discovered that your glass is not going to be full anymore because it fell on the ground and it broke. There needs to be some action to cause the reaction, right? After emotional study, it's not going to be reaction, it's going to be response, which is very, very different. And as Dr. Cass mentioned, that it is great that we combine business with family. Our family and kids is the hardest business school you will ever get, because you can't fire them, you can't change them, you have to learn to cope with them. But on the other hand, you can take the experiences that you learn at home from your wife, husband, or children and apply them in a business.
Very much so. I love how you're thinking and how you're connecting the dots, Joe. And one of the things you said resonates for me. We all bring a baggage into marriage. I'm looking at my marriage. I grew up in a very traditional Hindu household. Marriages are arranged. Marriages last forever. And when my husband proposed to me, he's Pennsylvania Dutch, and I had to sit down with his parents and ask them to tell their son that the only way this thing ends is one of us in a pine box. And his mom asks his dad, is she going to kill him when she's done with him? Right? So that tells you the cultural frame of reference difference, right? And we each bring that, right? So I come from a mindset that there is no divorce. Let's figure it out, right? And what happens if both parties are not willing to find their new frame of reference? To me, it's very much like a business merger and acquisition, right? It doesn't matter what either company was, but now the new unit is our unit, and the cultures have to be merged. Our vision has to be created. Our values have to be somehow harmonized.
Yes.
Even if we're the same race and same religion, our upbringing is going to change it. What advice do you have based on your own life experience to create that new frame of reference for the family to make it work? Because that's a lesson we can take from business.
The answer lies in what you just said. Even though the two parties are coming from two separate worlds, if the vision is common for both parties, if I have a saying that I use often, where is a will, there is a way. If we have agreed on the end result, there is no other way, just to find a way. If your vision is clear and you know what you want and you both want the same thing, it's just going to take time and effort until the stones are going to polish itself into smooth running system. If it's going to take year, 2, 5, no one knows. It's the new thing you're creating that has never been created before, because the both parties are individual and unique, and you're creating something new. So just give it time, understanding as much as possible, love into business, same as into family, and for sure it's gonna work out. Once you know that it's for common good, being in a family or business, it will work out.
No, very well said. I love that, Joe. You know what? Like you said, clear vision. If both individuals have a common goal, right? Have a direction. And like you said, if there's a will, there's a way. will get done, right? If we have that mindset in family and in business, I don't see, for the family or the business not be successful.
Agree, but that goal has to be common, either in business or in the family.
Yeah.
And it is very important to be open and honest once the two parties sit down to one table, not only for short term, because same as in relationship, the very same in setting up business, it's not a 1 or 2 week event that you are going to run for, right? You are planning you're exchanging your lifetime for it, for both of them, because one, you want to have a successful company that is going to support your personal and financial and family life, and at the same time you're creating your legacy. So you have to be really, really clear on what you want and really specific with your partner. Hey, this is how long it's going to take, approximately 5 or 10 years. This is what we're going to have to do first. This is what it's going to bring us. Are you up for it or not?
That is so very important, because ultimately it's stakeholder management, right? Your spouse is a full stakeholder in that personal relationship. I love how you're thinking and the insights you're sharing, Joe. How can folks get a hold of you if they want to get in touch with you, hear some other thoughts from you, or just get to know you?
I'm on most social medias like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. JoeKolar.com is my web. You can reach out through whichever source. I believe there will be some links posted as well. You can reach out for conversation to see if I can be beneficial in your situation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Joe. We appreciate you very much. Marcin, as we bring this to a close, any nugget of wisdom you want to share based on what we have talked to Joe about?
No, I'm just very grateful for Joe, for his time, for sharing his story, his journey, his experience, his knowledge, his wisdom, and his advice to male friends, male individuals that are in the men's space. So thank you very much, Joe. I really do appreciate you, and thank you, Dr. Cass.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Marcin.
having me.
Thank you so much. Joe. Appreciate you both very much. And for our audience out there, remember, life is never going to be easy. Nobody said it was easy. But there are resources, there are opportunities, and there are places and spaces to go get the help. So get in touch with your inner self, connect with people who are like-minded, who can support you through your journey. Because somebody has gone through what you have already gone through. And as they say, smart people learn from other people's mistakes. So reach out to other people and let's learn from each other. And to the ladies out there, please step into the man's space. Let's help our men and our sons, because it's going to take all of us to create an environment that brings out the best of humanity in our boys and men, so that we each can live a beautiful family life, a beautiful social life. Thank you.